Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll begin this session in just 2 minutes. We are waiting for more attendees to join. Thank you. Till the time we are waiting for the attendees, those who have already joined, you can probably enter your details or introduce your business in the chat section. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Prashant Singla, and I'm the host for today's session, Solving Returns to Build a Growth Engine for e-commerce. Before we begin today's session, I would request all the attendees to write down their questions in the Q&A section, and we will address them shortly. We have with us Mr. Gaurav Gupta, co-founder of Shipway, a tech platform helping brands automate their e-commerce backend operations. Gaurav will share with us his thoughts on the return automation. So without wasting any further time, let's start this session. Over to you, Gaurav.
Thank you, Prashant. And good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining us today and taking out time. So today we are going to talk about like automating and solving the returns for e-commerce, for your e-commerce business. And returns, I would say, is one of the most. Prashant, can you enable the screen share?
Yes, sir.
So returns is one of the most painful part for any e-commerce business. Apart from the painful part, it is one of the most unfocused part, for the brands, because there are a lot of other growth engines where just a second. So yes, so as I mentioned, returns is one of the most unfocused part, because returns, the growth that we can get from returns is we cannot measure the growth, but and parallelly we cannot measure how like bad it can be for our business, like how we can lose the customers, or how it can significantly affect the repeat customers, or it can significantly affect the brand image. So today we are going to talk about these four key areas, like seeing returns as an opportunity or as an investment. Then what are the various rules that we can automate in the returns of the exchange process, and how we can help in that part, and the instant refunds, the painful COD and prepaid refunds part. So when we talk about returns as an opportunity, so every study says that like there will be almost like 90-95% of the customers that will buy again from your website if the return path is easy, or if they can understand the return policy on the website. And similarly, as we can see on all the marketplaces, it helps in building the trust. And when the customer sees like they can easily return or replace their item, so they will definitely go ahead and buy that item. And it increases the chances significantly higher. And brands that offer free returns and longer return periods have often increased their profitability by up to 20%. And similarly, if you're not providing any good experience, and it can backfire you, and the customers will not they will not come back, and they will talk about, they will spread negative word of mouth publicity for you, and they will have a negative brand image in them, and they will not like 45% of them might not come back, or there might be chances they will not come back, or they will not buy again from your website. So these things are hidden, and there are studies like that have done, and they have showed us these results. And plus, we have also seen the result. We are also seeing on the brands, on any brand that we see, if the return policy is easier. As a consumer, we prefer that website or portal or marketplace to buy directly from them. And returns is one part, like where everything, every department has to be in sync, be it the customer support part department, or the logistics, or the warehouse or inventory team, or it be it when it comes to refunds and replacements. So finance and accounting team has to do their part, and then the product and marketing team on and how we can market the returns part, or how the product detail page should look like, and how we can spread the word of mouth of the returns things. So ideal scenario, like whenever the return management flows works like this, the buyer places a request on the portal, then the seller receives the request and generates a pickup request, or generates a label which is being again shared to the buyer. Then the buyer sends back the product to the merchant, and they once the seller receives the item, they scan it and update the inventory, and then do the resolution as per the buyer's ask. Like if it is a replacement or it is an exchange, so they have to provide an exchange order, or even either they have to provide some refunds. So, but most of the website, if we talk about most of the website, like how they are managing the returns is like simply they are putting up a return policy page, and they have some email ID written over there. Like for any returns, there you have to send us an email about the order ID and why you are returning the product. And then their customer support teams checks like the product page or the details, like whether it is returnable or not. And then they ask the logistics teams to schedule a reverse pickup. Sometimes the reverse pickup fails. Sometimes the customer is not available. Then the whole team gets lost track of that return part. And then the customer again thinks like, where is my return? When it will be picked up? So then the team gets active again, and they see like the reverse pickup they have to schedule with another carrier, and then they schedule it. And sometimes it gets picked up, and once they receive, they see like product is intact with the tags or not, and then they process the exchange or refunds. And most of the times the refund exchanges are not provided by the websites due to an inability to handle exchange, and then they simply ask the buyer to can place a refund request, and then they ask them that they will provide some credits, and they can buy again from the website with another size. So if and I also had a same like experience with one of the leading jeans brand, and it took almost like 1 month to replace that pair of jeans. And but again, so I won't think of buy again from that portal. And on top of that, there's no status update from those. Typically, no status update, and if we are living in 2021, and these type of things will only take away your customers and your business. And on the other side, the customer is expecting Amazon type experience, because on Amazon we are always frequently placing orders on Amazon, Myntra, Flipkart, and we expect like the same type of experience when it comes to refunds or returns. And so they expect like they should be able to easily place a return request, because no one wants to talk to the customer support team over a call or over the email, because that is so like outdated, I would say. And they expect a rapid turnaround times. And on the top of that, if there is a refund, so they expect like the refund has to be at least when the product has been delivered, so it should be in a day or two's time. But on the other side, it happens it takes weeks time in today's scenario. And as I mentioned, like everyone expected complete updates from the seller's side, like when the order is going to get picked up, like, and when the refund is going to get processed, and all these things, whether it will be a coupon or a gift card. So all these things like a general customer is expecting from today's brands or D2C brands, if you say. And one of the some of the common use cases, like we felt like that you should automate. One is like the self-service returns portal. Many people think like it will increase their returns, as it's easier for the customers to place a return request. But on the other side, if we are not you are not measuring those customers who are not actually completing the checkout because of this, or those customers who are going to your competition, because they have a security, like if the product is not fit or product is not up to the mark, they can easily return the product. So one of the most important aspect is they should be easily return or put a return or exchange request through your portal, instead of directly reaching to your customer support or this by call or by emails. And it will also reduce your customer support cost as well. And allowing next is like allowing returns only after X number of delivery. And because that has to be automated, and if the customer is requesting it, placing a request on the website, and your team is checking like how much, when it was delivered, and whether we should allow, reject, or accept the return. So it's something that you should avoid, because it involves a lot of manual effort, and there are high chances that there could be like you are rejecting some returns which should be accepted, and you are accepting the returns which should be rejected. And another aspect is like you should automate, like which when you are managing the returns to the self-service portal, so you should automate like the eligibility of the products. If the product is not, if for example all website have some product, like for example perishable food items, or that like them are not non-returnable items, or and in if sometime during the clearance sales we don't want to entertain the returns, so we can tighten the noose on the return policy part, instead of just denying the customers to place a return request. And another is like automating the reverse pickups. So typically when we talk to clients, so they are typically going to the carrier's website and logging the reverse pickups, which is, I think, even if you have a low number of returns, so this way you will not be able to scale up your operations. And if you have some, for example, if you have some sale going on, and then it will only increase the difficulty of the team and your brand. Another thing, nowadays customer expect like they should be able to choose between the refund type. For example, COD orders, so you don't have any details about the customer. So the customer expect like either they can provide some bank account or UPI or Paytm, so or they should be able to get the refund in terms of store credits. So it should be, you can at least allow the customers to choose between any of these options which your policy allows, or you can simply say is it will be only to sent as a gift card in your website, which you can try to purchase further. And everyone expect instant refund. So instant refund is like, so whenever the seller has received the order, so the refund should not take more than 1 or 2 working days, I would say. It should be instant. And many companies, like if you should see like company like Furlenco, etc., they provide instant refund. You just update the bank account or UPI, so yeah, they provide the refund straight away. So, and many brands also have a no question asked policy, they have to provide, for example, if the order value is beyond like less than 1,000, so they won't even pick up the order, then simply provide the refund. So these are some of the cases like how we can help. And on top, and another use case that you can automate is the exchange part. And in exchange, as I mentioned, like the typical scenario is the customer team asks the customer to place a refund request, and then they issue some gift card, and which can be utilized further to place a new order request. But instead, it should be like the customer, once placing a return request, should be given an option to place an exchange order request. Exchange order request, and they can choose between the variants that you have available inventory with straight away, and they can put a exchange request. So these are the cases like where we can help, apart from providing a self-service portal, it will be like your brand. It will be a URL with your brand domain, and customer can just directly log in with the phone number and order ID and see their orders, and they can directly place a return request or exchange request. Or simply you can deny, like if you have only the policy is only for returns, so you can only accept returns, refunds, or exchange, or both. Customer can directly upload the images directly through the portal instead of your team collecting it over the emails, and which is something very much required for many brands. And customers can specify the return reasons why they are returning, so that you can report and analyze which product is getting more returns and what is the reason behind the returns, and update the customers with throughout the process, like whether the reverse pickup has been scheduled, whether the refund has been processed or not, or whether the return has been accepted, rejected, or whether the merchant has received their return order or not. So all throughout the process, you get informed. So it significantly reduces the customer support queries, and obviously help you to scale and improve the customer experience part as well. And automatic exchange with other variants that we can help. And as I mentioned, and instant payments, refunds. So that is another part where we can help brands, like providing the instant payment refunds, whether it is bank accounts or UPI gift card. So this is where we can help. So in this, like the customers can directly put down their UPI ID or bank details, or Paytm, so the refund will be processed. Once the merchant approves, the refund will be automatically processed into their bank accounts. So these are some of the use cases. So I'll be happy to take questions after the session. So I think that's all from my side.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you for sharing your views. An insightful session it was, really. Attendees, those who have queries or questions, you can still you can ask your questions in the Q&A section, or maybe in the chat section. We'll address them shortly. As far as the session taken by Gaurav, we learned how optimizing return experience is essential to boost growth for an e-commerce brand. What else do we need for an e-commerce brand then to grow in the post-COVID situation? If the growth financing becomes flexible, it would turbocharge the brand growth. Our partner club is providing growth financing to the loved consumer brands through revenue-based financing. We have with us Mr. Anurag Jain, co-founder of Club. So Anurag, can you please tell our audience more about it and your journey with Club? Over to you, Anurag.
Super. Thank you so much. I am just trying to start the video. So if the host would just allow that.
No issues, Anurag.
Sorry, can I still request the host to give me access so that I can start the video?
Pardon, we are just giving an access. We're sorry for that.
No problem.
There you go, Anurag. You may continue, please.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Just give me 1 second.
Sorry for the delay. Sorry.
No problem. Unfortunately, I'm still unable to start the video. So if you want, I can just go ahead and start presenting.
Yes, we may begin. We are already late, because of this delay from us. Yeah, we can begin the session, I think.
No problem. So, folks, this is going to be done without video. So I'll let my voice try and communicate to all of you. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking out time. Wishing you all a very, very happy new year. I hope 2021 turns out to be phenomenal for all of you as you start building your brands and as you start doing more and more in the market. Quite honestly, it couldn't have been a better market at this point in time to go out and create a brand. Post-COVID, there's a fundamental shift that I'm sure that you guys are seeing at this point in time in the market, and it's absolutely a fun time to get started off. What we're trying to do at Club is to solve another tough problem. Just like returns is a tough problem for you guys, which is how do you handle this entire process of getting the returns from the customers in a seamless manner, which Shipway is solving. We're solving another tough problem at Club, which is how do you get capital? As brands, you obviously have a great product. You've got good customer affinity. You've solved some of the distribution and payment problems. Returns and capital end up being tough problems. And that is what we are going after, which is how do we provide you with capital so that you can continue to grow further. Now, what we do at Club is what called revenue-based financing. We are a revenue-based financing marketplace. So essentially, we provide capital to you through multiple partners of us as well. This includes institutional partners like NBFCs and banks. This also includes patron investors, essentially individual investors, brand enthusiasts who would want to invest in the brand and get returns as a monthly revenue share. I'm just going to describe what revenue-based financing is shortly. What Club does is we are a marketplace which facilitates this. Now, today, the capital that we can provide to you can vary anywhere between 5 lakhs to 5 crores. So we're a full spectrum capital provider from that standpoint. And more importantly, we're not a one-time capital provider. So we can actually keep growing with you as your revenue keeps upscaling. In fact, we've done multiple rounds of investments with some of our brand partners already. And so we're a very scalable capital provider for you as you grow further. Now, there's one thing that is missing on this slide in that Club also provides capital from its own side. And we are just creating another product for that in 2021, which will actually increase the amount of capital that Club can provide to you. It can go all the way up to 10 crores in a single round of investment. And then, of course, it just keeps on scaling up more and more. That's what we're building at Club fundamentally. But first, what is revenue-based financing? So essentially what revenue-based financing is that we give you capital, but we take returns as a revenue share. So there is no equity dilution for you whatsoever. We are not like equity investors. We are not like VCs and private equity funds from that standpoint. So there is no dilution for you. You keep control of your company. We are not like venture debt either, where there is some fixed EMI, but then on top there are these warrants. So there is, again, indirect dilution that you will see. We're actually completely non-dilutive from that standpoint. If you were to think about us, we are more like other NBFCs or banks that provide capital to you, but where we are very, very different is we take returns as a monthly revenue share as opposed to fixed EMIs. Now, why is that why is that important for you? As brands, you would completely understand that there is a lot of seasonality in your business. There are months when revenue is high. There are months when revenue is low. At the same point in time, in a post-COVID world, predicting how revenue grows is also something that has become much more and more harder as well. This is where revenue-based financing, or rather Club's revenue-based financing, allows you to have a more variable payout structure, which is linked to your revenue. So if you have good revenue in a particular month, the payouts are higher. But if there is low revenue in a particular month, the payouts are lower. Ultimately, the way the product is structured is this is called yield pricing. So in this particular example, there is a fixed yield of 10% for 6 months as an example. So ultimately, for 100 rupees given, you have to give 110 rupees out over a 6-month period. However, more importantly, there is no prepayment penalty. So in case you want to accelerate payments, which some brands have chosen to do because they want to raise further rounds of capital, that is completely open. There are no pre-penalty charges from our side. If, however, revenue is egregiously low than anticipated, then there are some floors in place, and we make sure that we alter revenue share to make sure that it ends up servicing the 110 rupees that was promised right at the very start. But ultimately, this is very, very flexible. As you can see in month 5, when revenue has dipped, the returns or the payouts that you're making as well have also come down significantly. The presentation is not visible as what we've just been told. I apologize for that. Again, the host, if you could just enable screen sharing, please. I'm so sorry for this.
We're sorry, sir. We're just connecting it.
Sure. Apologies for the folks on the call. We will get started, or rather we'll jump back in another 15 seconds. Meanwhile, if there are any questions about how revenue-based financing works, or quite honestly, what we've done in the past, happy to address those questions right after. If this doesn't move, then I will still continue to present.
Right. Anurag, you're the host now. You may start.
Thank you so much.
Sorry for the delay.
No problem. Okay, I will just quickly go back and recount this in a quick 15 seconds. Club is a revenue-based financing marketplace. We provide capital anywhere from 5 lakhs to 5 crores, and this amount is going to go up. The way revenue-based financing works is that this is linked to revenue. There is absolutely no equity dilution for you. It is a percentage of your revenue. There's an example on the left. If 100 rupees was given, then 110 is collected over the tenor of the instrument. This example is for 6 months. This is how a typical payout structure could look like as an example. Moving on forward, what are the sectors that we work on? So we work with brands across multiple sectors. This includes the ones that are already listed. And I'll take some names of brands who we worked with in the past. On the fashion side, it includes brands like Stage 3, Tijori, The Label Life, that we work, North Mist that we work with. On the F&B Cloud Kitchen side, we work with a brand called Third Wave Coffee. On the side of lifestyle and accessories, we work with a brand called Pipa Bella. On the beauty and personal care side, we work with a brand which is actually a very large brand by the name of the Man Company, India's second largest in the men's grooming space. A lot of you would be categorized in the D2C model, but we work with brands that are actually subscription businesses themselves. So there's a monthly thing that comes out every month on a regular basis, which is what we are financing. And last but not the least, we also invest in consumer tech companies. So we're very broad from that standpoint. Again, please do not think of us as classical VCs. We are not trying to back the winner in a particular category. We're trying to provide you with flexible capital. From that standpoint, we can work with multiple companies in the same space and deliver more value to you. These are the three different products that we have in the market. Let's start from the left towards the right. Our introductory product is called Club Speed. This is where we provide capital anywhere from 1 to 10 lakhs. I mentioned 5 lakhs earlier, but we can start off a little lower for younger brands as well in certain exceptional cases. Typically, we work with brands that have a minimum monthly revenue of more than 3 lakhs. This is where we give you capital as a credit card. It's more meant for your digital marketing spends and as a high rotation line. So as you utilize the capital and returns keep coming back, we provide you with more capital, and we want to graduate you to the next product, which is a Club Blaze product. This is where we give you capital anywhere from 5 to 25 lakhs. Again, for about the same tenor. Typically brands that exceed 10 lakhs of monthly revenue is where we start working with. You can utilize this capital not just for your marketing, but also for your inventory and working capital. And the capital is provided as an unsecured loan to you. The last product, which is actually our marquee or our flagship product, is Club Pro, which is where we provide capital anywhere from 25 lakhs all the way up to 5 crores. This is capital that goes to you for 12 to 18 months. And again, fairly flexible. You can utilize it for marketing, inventory, working capital, and also from CapEx. This is where we source capital, not just from Club, but also from our community of patron investors. Patrons are essentially individuals, affluent influencers, brand enthusiasts who would want to invest in your brand and get returns as a monthly revenue share. Again, some brands that I mentioned there who we work with. With that, no further slides with regards to Club, but if you want to go ahead and start the conversation, you can reach out to us on our website, you can email us, and we can get started off on that. With that, thank you so much. Back to the host.
Thank you so much, Anurag. Very well explained revenue model financing as well. Like I was carefully listening to you. Very, very well explained, sir. Thank you so much. With this, we move on to our next section, which is the Q&A section. And I'm going to ask the questions which is being asked to us in the Q&A section. And I'm going to ask Mr. Anurag and Mr. Gaurav to please answer those questions. Beginning with the first question, which is by Mr. Yasef here. He says, is the refund process also automated post delivery of the return product? Is the return portal separate to Easy Slips? Maybe Mr. Gaurav can answer this question.
I think, sorry, the question is the refund process automated and is
the return portal separate to Easy Slips?
Okay. So to answer the question, so yes, you can instantly refund this once you have received the order. Like for example, your team has received the order, so you can designate people from your team to have the access to that panel. Like you can provide the refunds, and so you can provide the refunds in UPI or bank details or the other sources, so that can be instantly refunded. And we have integration with Cashfree. So with the help of Cashfree, you'll be able to integrate the instant refund part.
All right.
And the return portal is part of EasySlips. So you can directly sign up on EasySlips, and there is a return section over there in the top tabs. So you can easily see, and it's easily configurable, and you can start taking returns in a very seamless manner from all your sales channel, Shopify, Magento, etc.
Gaurav, there is an add-on question by SS that he says that can we use EasySlips for returns only?
Yes, you can use EasySlips for returns only. So either if you can use it for as an internal tool also, or you can directly give it to the customers, like putting a link on your website. So both ways you can use that.
Okay. Next question is from Nitesh. He says, I would like to know industry standard returns due to customer non-availability or customer refused. Mr. Gaurav, maybe you can answer this as well. Gaurav, you are on mute.
I'm sorry, I'm really sorry.
It's okay, it's okay.
So there are two things like I would like to explain. One is the returns part, the returns or exchange or replacements. Other is the RTOs part. I think the question is related to the RTO part. So basically, how much RTOs or the customer RTOs that what is the standard of RTOs when it comes to the COD orders? Because in COD orders, you can easily refuse or reject the orders. So typically the range lies between almost like 25 to 30 or 40%, depending upon the like type of industry, like type of products do you have. For example, it depends on various factors, but some of the factors that I see is like it depends whether it's an impulsive buying or it's a need-based buying. So if it's a need-based buying, so definitely the returns would be the RTOs would be lesser. And if it's an impulsive buying, like seeing purchasing directly after seeing an ad on Facebook, etc., so that then the returns are very high. Another is if you don't, the customers don't get proper updates, so the returns can be higher in that case also. And the age factor also comes comes into picture. Like if the product range that you're targeting is catering to age section above 25 or 30 years of age, so then the chances of RTOs gets lesser. And if the age range is lesser than, like it's young age, like lesser than 25, so then the chances that it's an impulsive buying, and the higher chances that the orders get rejected. So these are the various factors that come into the picture. So basically, it's a question about RTO. So RTOs and returns, these are two separate sections of e-commerce, and I think I answered it.
I think the same. We move on to the next question. It's for Mr. Anurag. The question is, what are the metrics Club uses to assess a brand?
Sure. So for us, there is no one single metric that we utilize. Ultimately, of course, goes without saying that revenue-based financing requires revenue. And so one of the key things that we look at is the revenue. We're trying to triangulate revenue through multiple sources, which includes your financial data, your bank statement data, your GST returns, so essentially all sorts of financial data and metrics associated with that. But even if a company is not growing or does not have hypernormal growth, that's absolutely fine with us as well. The other set of metrics are more around operational metrics for us, which is how is the company performing in terms of the utilization of capital as an input and output as revenue. So this would be largely for your digital marketing spends or for your inventory spends. And so we want access to some of these alternate data systems as well, so that we are able to utilize the data to run our own algorithms on top to make better sense of how your margins are performing, how your ROAS are performing, how your utilization of capital is per se. And that is what our engine does by itself. While there is a proclivity to prefer brands with somewhat higher gross margins. We've also worked with brands which have lower gross margins, but that does not limit us in any form, shape, or manner. But literally, if there's one key guiding metric for us, that is revenue and the ability to track and see the revenue. And the second is, how do you utilize capital in your engine, in your growth engine, to be able to convert that into revenue itself.
All right. We move on to the next question, which is by Mr. Rahul Saxena. He says, this is for Mr. Gaurav, I guess. He says, is it advisable to automate the return request on your portal?
Yes, I think I answered that part in my slides. So yes, from my point of view, it's highly advisable to put that have a self-service portal for returns, because that will first of all, that is significantly reduce your support cost, and also it will avoid the to and fro communication between your customer support team and the customer. On top of that, on the downside is it becomes easier for the customers to place a return request, and even if somebody wants to place a return request, they will start replacing. But that can be a downside. But if you see it as an investment, so as an investment or as an opportunity, you will see a lot of repeat purchases that will start coming on your website if you have an easy process for returns. And on top of that, it will be easier for the customers to track and to manage all their returns. But on the one thing that you can do is, like, you can tightening the nose on the part of your return policy. You can limit the products which product is returnable or which product is not returnable. So you can do those things, and you can limit the number of deliveries, like after a certain amount of days or after the order is delivered, so you can limit them. So these things you can do, or if it's, as I mentioned, if it's a clearance sale, so you can disable the customers to place a return request for those orders, because you are already putting them on the discounted price. And on top of, you can work on reducing your returns. So that is always the priority. It should always be the priority.
Gaurav, there's another question for you. It says, how do we reduce the cost of our reverse shipment cost? In order to reduce the reverse shipment cost, what should we do?
Okay. So reverse shipping cost, I think directly the first point is you should directly negotiate the prices with your carriers. So that is the first point always. Like, you have to renegotiate the prices with the aggregators or the carriers that are doing the reverse shipping for you. And other is to solve the problem from the indirect method, like reducing if you have lesser returns, definitely the cost will be lesser. And I can see the returns are majorly due to 3-4 reasons. You get the returns. One is, and some of the topmost reason is it's higher in the side of apparels and footwear industry. So size and fitting issue is one of the most common reasons, like people are placing a return request, and then comes they don't like what they see, like not what they expected. And then the other reason is the items gets damaged and received. Sometimes it's about received wrong item, and it's changed their mind. They found something else, or they don't need that once they have received. So there are, for example, reasons like size and fitting issue, or customer changing, receiving the wrong item. So these part you can significantly reduce with the help of technology, enhancing your product detail page, putting every single detail when it comes to your product listing. For example, if we talk about apparels or shoes, So putting every single details like measurement of all the things like from various angles, from various ways, or if we talk about footwear, so it normally what happens is like sites have this size chart only based on the length. So, but if we see there are multiple angles that customer like the merchant has to see from a footwear's point of view. For example, the size shape of the feet, or you can say the arc, how's the arcs, and apart from length. So these can also be asked. Plus, they can be asked about like what is the regular shoes they are wearing, like if they are wearing Nike, etc. What is their shoe number? So that can be calculated upon that. And there are a lot of startups also that has come which are solving the fitting issues, like which helps in getting the proper measurement. There are AR tools, augmented reality tools that have come. So I think that's all, but majorly, and another is like items getting damaged. So that then you obviously invest more into your packaging and invest more into a good logistic partner who handle things efficiently. So these are various ways you can reduce your shipping costs, but these are indirect ways. So directly is you can renegotiate the prices.
All right. So my next question that I receive is for Mr. Anurag. The attendee says that at what stage should a brand raise capital via RBF or club?
Sure. Revenue-based financing is fairly stage agnostic from that standpoint. A sort of a presumption is that there is some revenue that the brand is having. And literally, that's why we've designed Club Speed, that if a brand is just about starting out, literally about a lakh per month, and we can get started out. So there is no starting point per se. The more important question is to what end of the spectrum can we work with as well. So we've actually worked with companies that are literally doing a lakh of monthly revenue. We're now working with a company that does 40 crores of monthly revenue as well. So we are very full spectrum from that standpoint. So there is no start, no stop. We've received the question of late as well that about us working with pre-revenue companies. And quite honestly, we are still doing some pilots on that. So we've not fully decided on a path and a strategy. If there are some angels that are backing, if there are some equity investors who are backing, then we are looking at some pre-revenue companies. But quite honestly, revenue-based financing is not a good fit if you've not gotten any revenue. Other than that, we are truly scalable as a product. Sure.
Anurag, there is another question for you. Pranavi asked a question. She says, what kind of involvement from club can brands expect after raising funds?
Sure. From our side, we're not like typical equity investors, venture investors, or angels that we would sit on the board or direct how a company should be built. We're not that firm at all. In fact, that was our past lives as founders, and we've chosen that that's not the strategy that we want to take. For us, we are trying to build an ecosystem or an alliance of sorts, where we give and we arm our brand partners with all the resources for them to grow. Shipway partnership is one such example. If a partner comes back to us saying we need help in this particular area about returns, then we will happily connect them to Shipway. And that's just one of the partnerships that we are doing. So from our perspective, we are more enablers for the brand, but we are not directors, we are not meddlers, we are definitely not trying to direct you about how you should build your brand or run your business. We'd rather create an ecosystem for you to thrive in.
All right. Next question is from Vishal to Mr. Gaurav. Vishal says, what are the top 5 reasons for returns?
So top 5 would be one of the major reason is like size and fitting issue. Because as I mentioned, like returns generally happen in majorly in apparels and footwear industry. So one of the top reason is size and fitting issue. Then we have customer like the quality issue or the what they saw on the website, they could not get exactly what was mentioned on the website. And then we see like items getting damaged, like damaged part is one of them, like you can say top 5. And another is like the customer changing their mind. And then another is like instead of X product and then Y product is sent, the like wrong product is sent to the customer, or so that these are the main reasons.
Okay. Next question is from M. Sridhar Vaishnav to Anurat. Sridhar says that how much stability do you consider in terms of revenue or financial statement of a company?
Stability versus the ability to tie revenue together. So I'm going to sort of dealing with two concepts at this point in time. The advantage of revenue-based financing is that if your revenue is not exactly a linear growth or a simple growth curve as well, but it is going up and down, it actually is a great product for you from that standpoint. So it's not stability of revenue that we really care about. Revenue choppiness does not throw us off. But can we cite your revenue? Is your revenue accurate? Can we see that in GST returns? Can we see it in financial data? That is important to us. But if it is choppy, it's absolutely fine. We have floors in place that make sure that unless there's an egregious fall, it's okay. In fact, no company can predict revenue. Things move, things change, and that is why we have designed this product to give you more and more flexibility. Prashant?
Okay. Gaurav, there's a question from Sridhar as well to you. What are the pros and cons for the instant refunds? He says obviously good for the customer, and how does it any other way affect business in monetary terms?
So basically it's like as I mentioned in my last answer, like it's so pros are simple, like you get good you can put up a good customer experience, you will get repeat customers. And instant refunds is like obviously it will create a word of mouth, like the serious brand has instantly refunded me. And obviously if you have to refund it anyway to the customer, so it has to be instant. If your team delay, if there is a delay in providing the refund, and you anyway have to provide the refund, so it's always advisable to provide an instant refund instead of delaying it for 1 week or 5 to 7 days, as we all see. So I don't think it will affect that much in terms of monetary, but if we see in the long run, like it will only benefit you. It may be short term, like you see, like it's taking out your revenue, but in the long run, it will only be helpful in building the brand image that you want and retaining the customers and creating a repeat purchase.
Okay, so Gaurav, there's another question for you. He says how to minimize return. Like this is already answered in the footwear industry. This I think you have already mentioned in the previous answers. We move on to the next question. This is for Mr. Anurat. He says, how do clubs partnership benefit D2C brands?
Oh, I think that's partially answered as well. The partnership with Shipway is one such example. Similarly, there are other partnerships as well, but that's already responded.
I was just going through the list of the questions. I was
no one
just repeating those. I think that's all for the questions that are being asked in the Q&A section. In case there is any another question, attendees may also add it to the Q&A section. We are still having few more minutes before we end this session.
I see one question, and I'll just take that in case that has been asked. How do you decide what capital a brand can raise from Club? Is this linked to revenue only? What if the brand wants to purchase more inventory? Does Club account for this flexibility from the get-go? So the way we think about providing capital is typically to start off with, we look at capital infusion of about 1x of your monthly revenue range. So whatever your monthly revenue run rate is, we initially provide capital about 1x times of that. But subsequently, as you scale up, we can continue to provide more capital as well. Now, this is just a loose rule of thumb. We've actually done 3 rounds of investments with 3 companies, and we've done 2 rounds of investments with about 8 companies. So we actually continue to do a lot more. We continue to provide more capital as brands scale up. And the last point was, what if the brand wants to purchase more inventory? Prashant, back to you.
Thank you. In case I missed any question, I was just checking on that. I think so. Most of the questions are being, not most, in fact, all of the questions are being answered right now. So we move towards the end of the session, I must say. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, Anurag, for taking out time and answer all the questions and for the session that you have. Thank you so much. I would like to thank all the attendees as well for sharing your interest in the session. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Gaurav. Bye.
Thank you, Anurag. Bye. Have a great day.